right, good day, everyone. My name is Cara Pemictor of carapemictor.com and soon to be Soulful Sojourners. And I am here with one of my friends and kind of mentors, Cathy Andrews of Wings on the Ground. Cathy is an intuitive medium, an alchemist, and founder of Wings on the Ground, who I was blessed to meet during one of her Wings on the Ground retreats, which I would kind of describe, and Cathy will go into much more detail and correct me if I'm wrong, but as a retreat, not to necessarily learn how to do something, but to learn how to embody and angelic virtues, um, such as forgiveness and detached compassion and things like that. So it's this way of being here on Earth in human form. So I'm excited to be kind of chatting with you today, Cathy, and allowing people to learn more. So
thanks for having me, Cara.
Oh, my pleasure. So first of all, I guess a little bit more about, I said you're an intuitive medium, an alchemist, founder of Wings on the Ground. Is there anything else that you would add to that? I know you're very multidimensional. and maybe how did you get started with being an intuitive medium and this energy alchemist?
Everything for me started actually in the 90s, that I had contact with star beings first. And learned about them. It was never a scary thing, but all my gifts pretty much opened up for what I do now from September 11th. So if I could go into that just a little bit and explain my experience, and a little bit about my background too, because I think that's important.
Absolutely.
So I was raised in a Christian home, but we didn't really go to church a lot. We went to church at Easter time and sometimes for Christmas, but not very often. And so I wasn't raised with a whole bunch of dogma, a whole bunch of restrictions of what's good, what's bad. And so I think I had a very clean slate for spirit to work with. On September 11th, I was at work. I was working as an insurance agent at that time. And I had my first experience with being able to leave my body at will. Because that night, when I went to bed, I asked to go into spirit to help souls cross over. And I didn't really think that was a weird thing to ask at the time. And so as soon as I put my head down on the pillow, I was gone. And I can remember felt like I was flying over wheat fields and golden wheat fields. And I got there. I ended up going to New York. And the beings that were there, I don't remember what they looked like. I'm guessing that they were angelics, but there may have been some galactics there as well. I'm not sure. But they knew me. And when I landed, they were saying that they were really glad to see me, to be there to help. And that's all I can remember, except the next morning when I got up and I was getting ready to go to work, it hit me what I had asked to do. And why did I think that I could do that? What even prompted me to think I could do that? And so that led me to have a very strong belief that we all have exit points, or we all have signposts along the way of when our gifts are going to be illuminated for us, or that we're going to have an awareness of them, because that's when communication really started coming through for me. That
Would you say
spirit
that's
was,
an awakening, so to speak?
yes, an awakening.
Okay.
Thank you. That's the right word.
Yes.
And so different aspects that I evidently had agreed to before coming here was to create elixirs. And I think that that's part of why I love gardening so much and have such a close relationship with all the nature beings, all the elementals, and to also be doing readings, different kinds of readings, and also to create wings on the ground. And do you want me to go into wings on the ground more specific?
You can. This is all fascinating so far. But I would like to highlight too one thing. So you feel like one of your making elixirs, making the flower essence, which we'll get into, the card readings, wings on the ground, as a whole too, is one of your purposes to help souls pass over,
Yes.
kind of in
Mm-hmm.
the bigger
Mm-hmm.
picture.
Yes. I would be considered a death doula. That all came naturally to me. In fact, also an ordained interfaith minister. And when I went for my ordination ceremony, there were a couple women that were also taking the ordination, and they heard me talking about that. And they said, there's a word for that. It's called psychopomp. And that is when you help souls cross over. So that's right. That's something else that I do, but I do it naturally. And they were telling me about that they had lived in South America for a while, and that there were specific people trained to help souls cross over, but I haven't had any training. I actually haven't had any training for anything. It's all just come to me.
That's the intuitive part.
That's the intuitive
right?
part.
Being open. Well, I love how multi-dimensional, faceted, that you are, and everything that you do. So it's a blessing to be able to talk to you, about all these different things. So, so speaking of which, yes, let's get into a little bit more about wings on the ground, as I was, giving kind of my interpretation when I, was there. But what exactly is wings on the ground? And even how
Well,
did you come up with that, that name?
I've been really, really fortunate in that I have never struggled to name what I do. My muses have been right there, telling me, you will call it this. And so I've never had to sit down and brainstorm about what do I call this. My doula work is called Graceful Crossings. And so, but everything comes under the heading of Wings on the Ground. So Wings on the Ground is a way of being. You were correct. It is not a modality to do anything. It's a way of being. And it started back in 2013 when I was offering angel light, which is a healing modality. And what started happening is at the end of all of the angel light trainings, I started channeling weird language. And
Light language?
light language.
Okay. No.
It was weird to me because I didn't have any exposure to it. I didn't know what it was at all. But I was giving messages to each individual there. And so over a period of about a year, I felt like Wings on the Ground needed to be its own entity. And so certain archangels actually communicated with me and sat down and channeled 9 virtues that that they felt would be very helpful so that humans could be their representatives on the ground. That's where they got the name Wings on the Ground. So it's being like an angelic human,
On the earth.
helping them, being here on the ground.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, so there's 9 different virtues, and at the retreats, each person receives exactly what they need, with an attunement that's done in light language, and each person receives what they need in light language. They explained how it was going to work was that if everybody was sitting around a table and say we were doing a virtue of courage, and so everybody imagine, because this is not actually how it happens, but imagine if we're sitting at a table and everybody has a glass of water in front of them, and the water represents the strength of that particular virtue that we're working on, and everybody's level of water in their glass is different. It is not a competition. So, don't look and say, oh, her glass is way fuller than mine. It's not like that at all. But after you receive the light language attunement, everybody has the same amount. So it shores up, it intensifies your own vibration for 9 different virtues, and it helps you. The reason it's done in light language is so that it's a communication from spirit directly through your own angels, through your own spirit guides. They're helping you. They don't want you to say, no, I can't do that. I'm not ready to do that. And so most of the time, I don't know what's coming through either. So it also, it not only bypasses the mental constructs of everybody that's attending, it also bypasses my own filters. Especially because a lot of times you're being asked to step into your power, step into your gifts that you may feel less than, unworthy of, not ready for, et cetera, et cetera. A bunch of excuses.
Yeah. the
Right.
human programmed mind, right?
Exactly. And so that bypasses everybody that's participating, and also mine. Because really, sometimes if I know the person really well, I might be too timid to say, well, you need to move to another state.
Right.
I might be,
right.
I would be hesitant to transmit information like that. And so it serves the purpose of helping all of us communicating directly to our higher selves, so that our little me with the ego doesn't balk at the suggestions.
Okay. So I was going to ask you, maybe just for those people who, this is their first time hearing light language or this weird language, just to maybe explain it a little more. What I'm kind of understanding too, it's the language of maybe light or higher being and purpose that allows us to communicate, to kind of bypass, like you're saying, the ego and the programmed brain and tap into our divine self.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Can you just maybe explain just a little bit more about maybe or what like language is, or put it in kind of a, it's hard to put it in a definition, and then
Um, well, different people, anybody can actually do it, and different people have different skills or the way that they can interpret these light language. Some people actually um, use their hands a lot and do different signage. Some people use their voice. Some people do writing, and it looks like symbols. So the way I interpret it is because I hear. Mine is, I've tried to draw pictures, and I'm not very good at that. Um, Sometimes I do use my hands, but most of the time it's vocal. So, and it
but
can come through as sounding like a foreign language that I don't know. Sometimes it can come through sounding like animals for your animal guides. Um, Sometimes it can come through as a more galactic type feeling. I personally cannot hear myself when this is being transmitted. I kind of stand to the side. I'm not completely gone, so I'm not what you would call a trance channel. I'm still there. I just can't really hear what's being said. Um, I can feel the vibratory nature of it, and so I can tell if it's angelic or if it's a galactic energy or if it's an animal energy. Um, I, that's how I can tell what's coming through, but that's about the only way. Um, it's called different things too. Sometimes I call it light language because that's light being wisdom and knowledge. Um, Not just like light, like 3D light that we can see with our eyes. And so it's my own interpretation of it because that's how I'm the clearest to be able to give that to other people.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yes, it's fascinating too. So basically, it comes in different forms for different people, just like, we all sometimes hear more or see more, or
Yes. Mm-hmm.
how
And
it's how we can best communicate with
that's right.
source, higher being, divine.
That's right. And that's why also part of the workshop that that we do is taking that into consideration that a lot of people, their best way of learning is visual. So we also break down each one of the virtues that we do, and prior to receiving the light language attunement for each virtue, we have like a brainstorming session using a whiteboard, a dry erase board, and talk about what each virtue means to each of us, specifically because that is the way a lot of people learn and can receive information. And just writing the words in and of itself is also like a download. Um, One thing, Dr. Emoto's work with the ice crystals and writing words on water bottles. Um, if you're not aware of him, you might want to do some research on his work. So it's the same thing, or it's similar, a way of using words to also bring in the energetics through your eyes. So people are receiving the information in different ways, auditory as well as visual.
And vibrational.
And
And
but well, yeah,
yeah,
all of it's
all
vibrational.
of it, right. So during the retreats, people are learning how to, again, kind of embody and be in these angelic virtues, and you're doing it in all of these different ways to help people who learn differently be able to receive.
Correct.
And I imagine even just all of us being able to receive in all of those different ways.
Right.
So,
And the energetics of every group that gets together is different too, depending on who is present. So it's been really interesting to see the cohesiveness of each group and to feel the different vibrations of each group. It's really, it's wonderful.
I only know from my one experience, yes.
Yeah,
And even the people, that we keep in contact with afterwards,
right.
it, it's a blessing.
It
So,
is. It's been a blessing for me.
so this training is one part of it with the retreats.
Right.
What other tools do you use? You mentioned elixirs, and I
Hmm.
know I know them as the flower essences. That's another kind of tool that you make to support people with the virtues and some other things. Can you talk a little bit about um, the essences and how they support the body, and maybe a few examples of what you have?
Sure. Um, Again, this all this information started coming to me in 2001. And initially, I was asked to make planetary essences, and I was supposed to find um, what uh, what chemicals isn't the right word, elements were present in each one of the planets in the Milky Way galaxy. So that sounded very daunting to me. So took a little bit of a of a detour, and I learned about flower essences. They're not the same as essential oils. So each flower and tree and crystal carries a specific vibratory um, principle. And so this is all channeled for me as well. There are a lot of flower essence practitioners that will say, for instance, a sunflower. A sunflower is for a specific thing. I don't see it that way. If spirit says make a sunflower essence, I will make the sunflower essence. And then for each of the different for each of the different collections that I have, that's all channeled as well. So the newest one is called I Am, and so that's a collection of 15 different affirmation essences, I call them, because I've got I am abundant, I am brave, I am love, I am sovereign. That's a real important one right now. So let me backtrack a little bit. I started the very first group that I made are called the Starlight Essences, and those are pretty generic. Um, that would be like teacher, wise one, um, star, star seed,
I was gonna say,
or
I think I took the
starborn.
Starborn. Yes,
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. And it's gone on from there. I also have um, essences. I've created essences for each one of the 9 virtues for Wings on the Ground. You can take the essences if you haven't done the trainings. Um, and those are for the 9 different virtues like courage, forgiveness, unconditional love, detached compassion. Um, there are 9 of them. I also have another series called Feels Like Home, and those are for people that feel a connection. Sorry, I'm in my office and the UPS guy is here, so he's banging around a lot outside. Sorry.
Oh, it's all
Um,
good.
the Feels Like Home is all different star systems, Arcturus, Andromeda, Sirius, Cassiopeia,
Ooh, you have
uh,
quite a few.
a lot.
And
Uh,
and I know they're all on your website, right?
they
At
are, yes,
wingsontheground.com. Okay.
yes. Yeah, there's another one called Remember, and there's a lot of those, and those deal with sacred sites and ancestral lineages that you might need help with. I've got goddesses, goddess guides. I've got um, uh, Emily's Essences, which is about balance for different periods in a woman's life. Mother, Maiden, Crone. Um, let's
Well,
see.
let me ask you this if I can. This is coming up, like say somebody's listening or they're looking on your, your website and they're looking at all of these. How could they maybe determine which one is best for them at this time? And that's a big question, but maybe just like three little points or something, like if they're looking. I mean, can they contact, you and have a discussion, or do they
Yeah, you
have
can.
intuition?
Yes, and I will say too, if you don't feel drawn to any of them in particular, I would say most people know or are drawn to something very specific. Um, that has rarely been a thing. Most people know exactly what they want. They can find all of them on my website and choose that way. But I'm certainly open to doing consultations for people. I do charge for the consultations, but you can also apply that amount to the purchase of your essence. There's a wide range of pricing on all of the essences, and a lot of that depends on if the blend are rare flowers or not, and the amount of research that goes into them. I also make custom blends. So if you don't really know what you want, but you want to start with something, I will make custom blends too for what I can, we'll discuss what's going on in your life, any challenges that you're facing and patterns that you want to break and release. And I will create a special blend for each individual.
I love that. Yes, because sometimes we all, we think that, oh, I could use this and this and this, and to be able to have
Right.
it personalized
Yes.
is perfect. Well, so the retreats, you have the essences, and I also know that you do card readings.
Yes.
So I just wanted,
There,
before we wrap up, a little bit
sure.
about that.
Most of them card readings are one thing that I do. I like to do spiral readings and put them in a spiral format because it kind of tells a story. And that is very current for what's going on right now for people. I also do intuitive readings. So we might do a life path reading. We might do a mediumship reading, and that is contacting loved ones that have already crossed over. I also do animal readings for what animals are around you. Believe that's about.
And what tools do you use in your readings? Like oracle cards? Do you use pendulum? What intuitive? All right.
It's all intuitive, except for the specific, if somebody wants a card reading, I
Okay.
will do that. But everything else is intuitive.
I love it.
uh,
Is okay. Well, is there anything else? I know there's some energy work that you do as well. So anything else that you'd like to share
I do
about your
do
gifts?
energy healing. I'm a Reiki master, but I don't use Reiki that much specifically. I'm also a Lahu Chi practitioner. It's similar in that it's an energy healing modality. Um, since I have done both, I can tell a difference in the two energies. And that can be done hands-on or remote.
Beautiful. Again,
So
you're very multifaceted.
yeah, I wear
in
a lot
your,
of different hats.
yes. if if you, and this can be a tough question, if you had to pick one that you enjoyed the most, what would it be?
Oh, that is very hard.
And there's no right or wrong answer. And
No, I have a teacher's heart. And so really, if I could do retreats all the time, that's probably what I would choose to do. Just because I love to bring that sharing, teaching. Although I don't really look at myself as a teacher per se, it's more sharing and transmitting the information, being an open channel. But I love that connection with the people that attend the retreats and being able to see their hearts open up. That's my favorite thing to do, really. I would say my most sacred work is helping souls cross over. That is very special.
and both transformative in their own way, right? You get to
Right,
see
they are.
and witness
Yes,
transformation.
yes.
So,
But
oh,
I loved, I love sitting in here and creating all the essences as well. I go completely, I lose all track of time when I'm doing those.
well, when I asked, I kind of had an idea that there might not be just one, right? And
Right.
they're all there to support,
And it's,
who you are and what you do.
right. It's really hard. Like if I know I'm doing a reading one day, that'll be my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. Well, and I asked that too, like kind of at the same. I like to ask people. This is different if we're talking about travel, but like, what's your favorite place to visit? Knowing that if somebody asks me, I can't pick one place, because everything is special
Right.
depending, like you said, what you're doing at that time, maybe who you're doing it with, you know. So it's
It
all
is.
part of your gifts.
I would love to go to Italy someday because that's where my ancestral roots are in this lifetime anyway. But I also would love to return to Crete. That is where I really connected to the bee priestesses from the ancient Minoan culture, a very matriarchal culture. And that's when I had attended a workshop that was 10 days, I think, um, and really connected to the bee priestesses then. Um, so I would like to return to Crete sometime.
Beautiful. Well, one final question too. Retreats. Are there any? I know this time that we're recording this, we're kind of just slowly coming out of the lockdown period, but do you have any plans for upcoming retreats at the moment?
I don't have anything scheduled yet.
And where
Um,
can people again kind of check in, or how can they be
sure,
informed if when one comes up? What's the best way?
sure. They can go to the website, which is www.wingsontheground.com, or on Facebook. There's a Wings on the Ground Facebook page as well. I'm also on MeWe. So if anything, once something gets scheduled, it would be on there as well.
And newsletter? Do you have a newsletter
Not
list?
yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay.
That's something I'm
Coming.
working on.
Okay. No, no worries. Well, so then if they visit you at those other places, they can eventually um, connect maybe that way once you have that as well. Perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
All right. Well, any last minute thoughts? Anything else that you'd like to share, Kathy, that we didn't cover? We covered a lot.
Yeah,
I
we did.
think.
No, I think that's about it. The best way to reach me is either through the website, because that comes up on my email, or to uh, text me. And my phone number, I believe, is on the website, I think.
But through the website, they can
Through the
find
website is the best
contact
way.
information.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Or if you're contacting me via Facebook, you can contact me via Messenger on there.
Beautiful. Well, definitely reach out if you're interested in the Wings on the Ground retreats, which are amazing. The flower essences, which I've taken a few, and they're amazing. You can go find my testimonial on one of the websites about the body wisdom. Is that what it is?
Yes.
I think body wisdom.
That's like huge right now.
Yes.
Body wisdom, discernment. Pay attention to your body. It
Yeah.
doesn't lie.
We could do a whole nother talk on that. Maybe we'll have to do that and
Just
post it.
that topic.
Yes.
Discernment. Yeah.
So, but yeah, anything that Kathy mentioned, you can, again, wingsontheground.com. And thank you so much, Kathy,
Thank
for joining
you.
me today and all the work that you do. And we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, Kara.